There's a block here that's out of place. You know, the myth-busting world started back in August of 2012, and some of the tests that we've done probably have different results now, like this one right here. It was in January 2015 that a change was made to Bedrock so that beacon beams could go through it, and that's so you could use a beacon in the Nether. And then someone pointed it out to me in my comments that the bedrock was still on this side. So thanks for doing that. We have now amended this and we'll put it over with all the other blocks that the beacon beam can go through. So welcome back to another episode of Myth Busting. If you didn't catch the last episode, it was all about how much XP we can store inside of Shulker boxes. Although if you watched it, you'll know that episode was really about the Grindstone because we spent a lot of time learning about the disenchantment feature. Now I got a lot of feedback on that video and we've now found a really good practical use for storing XP inside of a shulker box. I got a few other things to comment on as well, but we'll come back to that somewhat in the middle of the episode because I want to jump straight into answering your questions. This one is just a random assortment of your questions, so let's jump straight into it. There are many blocks in this game, and if I wanted to test all of them, what would be the best way to get them all into a world? It would be to create the debug world. And the test that we're going to conduct here is the wither rose. Which blocks can it be placed on? Well, it turns out that the debug world doesn't like you trying to do this. We can't place it on these ones, but when we get to the blocks that we can place it on, I can actually do the placing animation. You can hear the placing sound, but it doesn't get placed down. And this is actually true of any block. So I can't place anything in the debug world. So luckily for me, my friend Nembom MC had a look through the game code and found a list of blocks that the wither rose can be placed on. And there is one very interesting one right here. So first of all, thanks to Nembom for saving me an extraordinary amount of time going through every block and testing it one by one. The first set of blocks are grass, dirt, coarse dirt, podzol, and farmland. Which means this wither rose is actually floating slightly off the block. Isn't that fascinating? Now the next two blocks were actually added in 1.14.3, so before this version you weren't able to put the wither rose on top of netherrack or soul sand. And this one, as well as the farmland, is quite a useful block to use with the wither rose. So let's say you design a mob farm using the wither rose, it kills the mobs, they drop their items on these blocks. You need a minecart hopper to pick up the items from above. That has its ups and its downsides, so as an alternative you can now use farmland. If I throw some of this down here, you'll see it gets picked up by the hopper below and put into the chest, and the same can be said of soul sand. Now farmland, you can actually see the gap of the block. Soul sand's slightly different, you won't see that gap, but it is actually slightly lower, so when we throw the items on there, they get picked up in the chest below. This next one has brought me to a part of the world that we don't see very often. This is from a long time ago, where we made an episode about the silverfish, asking many questions of it. And I have another one from many of you asking if an observer is able to detect a silverfish going into a block. Obviously this can be done very easy, it's just a waiting game. When that silverfish goes into the block, we're going to find out if the lamp turns on, and look at that, perfect timing. We know that that works. I'm now wondering if the opposite is true. What happens when the silverfish comes out of the block? Well, below me is regular stone. You can see when I click we go to mine it, and this is infested stone. So when I click on it, it instantly breaks, and now I can punch the silverfish, which causes the other one to come out, and you saw the lamp turn on. That's also made me notice something that I'm pretty sure I actually already knew, but I'll share it with you in case you didn't see it. So look at our pick. We don't take any durability from breaking the blocks of silverfish in. And now I'm in a pickle. So from one type of bug, that being the silverfish, to another, I've had loads of people telling me about this. You can use the Silk Touch book in your hand in survival to Silk Touch blocks. This is obviously a bug, but check it out. That's quite hilarious, and if you want to take advantage of this in 1.14.3, I mean, you're not taking any durability, right, onto your tool that you would normally use with Silk Touch. So for some of these blocks it's a pretty good idea. For the bookshelf and for the campfire it's a fair bit slower, but worth taking advantage of if you want to save yourself some durability on your tool. So now we're going to do our follow-up on the last episode about storing XP inside of shulker boxes, but first of all, I'd just like to say if ever you have a question you want to ask, use hashtag mythbusting in the comments down below. It seems like as time goes on, less people ask questions and it gets harder and harder to find them in the comments. So use that hashtag if you got a question. I'll be looking for them and potentially answering them in the next episode. So storing XP inside of a shulker box. The idea here is that it would be, for the most part, pretty much instantly accessible, right? You pull out an experience bottle or you place down a diamond ore and mine it, and you could argue actually that this furnace idea for smelting all of the clay probably wasn't really in line with that theme, but I've had 3 main suggestions, and one of them that's really good is also not really in line with that. Some of you were saying that you could fill up a shulker box full of end crystals. You could, but then think about how much time it would take to fight the end dragon over and over and over again. The idea here is to give quick and easy XP to the player stored inside of a shulker box. Now we also had a lot of suggestions that you could put in the redstone ingredients to make some sort of farm that produces XP. Yeah, that kind of counts, but again, you'd spend a load of time building a farm and it's kind of pointless. Now this one right here I did actually want to do myself in the video, but I didn't because I thought it would crash the game. And that is to just for fun do a bunch of hacked enchantments, right? So that's obviously going to give us a ridiculous amount of XP which might crash the game. It also made me notice though that this is stacked, so I'm wondering what happens when you put stacked items inside of the grindstone. So I've decided to do this with the Aqua Infinity enchantment because we know it gives us the same amount of XP every single time that we use it. So we get that 1 point of experience, and then if we chuck in 4 of them at the same time. Ah, well, okay, we learned that one quick, right? It doesn't like that. Fair enough. So I've made a copy of the myth-busting world. You know, I'm fully expecting the game to crash right now, so let's just jump in here and do this. No! It didn't crash! Oh my goodness me, look at that. Wow. So we will be able to crash the game. I thought that the maximum enchantment was somewhere around 3,000. It's actually 32,767. So this time we're going to get a redonkulous amount of XP from this. And immediately it's turned into a slideshow. And, you know, what is this? 1 frame a minute. And there we go. It's crashing. So what is the killer application for this experience on demand XP in a shulker box? I believe it might just be for something like this. You're out and about mining, perhaps you're not in an area that has a lot of ores, or maybe you've got silk touch and so you're not getting the experience from the ores. Your pick is eventually going to run low, and it would be really nice just to be able to grab some XP, not have to go all the way to a farm, right? So you can put that in your offhand, throw experience down at the ground, and instantly start to repair your pick. Another use would be for the elytra, especially if you play on a server where you do a lot of flying. Your elytra might break. Luckily for me, I've given myself some cheaty resistance, and then you could just plop down your shulker box, get your XP, and then repair your elytra instantly, which is obviously very convenient, especially if you don't have a backup elytra, because then you can grab your rockets and continue flying. Now we're going to do things a little bit different. You could probably call this a bug report more than a myth bust, because we are in the combat test snapshot. Although this looks like it's for 1.14, it's probably more likely the changes to combat are going to be in 1.15. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there'll be a card on the top right for you to click on, and you can check out the video about this custom snapshot, which you can't get through the launcher. But anyway, let me show you the concern that I have. The changes to combat in this update allow you to hold down click and continuously attack. Now when using a sword, it kind of makes sense that you would, accidentally hit a pigman, and then all of his friends would be angry and attack you as well. And that's because I'm simply holding down click, so it doesn't really matter what I decided to do first. So the big problem here is that this change overrides a function of using a tool on a block to mine. So you can see how I'm trying to mine the grass block. If I move to a different block, we're able to do it. But you wouldn't be able to attack a pigman, right, if you accidentally swung your pick in front of it. And because of these changes, you can see that that's no longer the case. This was introduced quite some time ago. It was like a precaution that was taken to stop the player from accidentally hitting mobs. So just in case you've not actually seen this feature before, here I am in 1.14.3. And can you see how we're mining blocks and then when we move towards the pigman nothing happens? That I think really needs to stay. It's a cool feature. Now, I don't think the bug tracker has support for the combat test, so don't worry about it. I'll find a way to pass on a message, but I think that is something that needs to be taken care of with this combat update change. For the last part of this video, we're going to rapid fire through 3 interesting questions. The first one is about the Thorns enchantment and the ability to attack mobs that could have thorns using Sweeping Edge. So this will let you attack multiple mobs at once, and the question that I got was, would thorns stack together from multiple mobs, right? So we're going to attack however many of them there are right there, about 20 or 40 even. We're going to attack them all at once using Sweeping Edge, and you can see that the Thorns effect didn't stack. We only got 2 hearts of damage, but we did see that all the mobs got hit and they jumped up and down, and confirmation of this is that every time I attack them I always get Thorns, but it just doesn't stack together. The next question is a creative mode one. Someone wanted to know if control middle clicking a furnace that has XP stored inside of it could be placed down again. You see here it has the MBT data of the block because I middle clicked it. The answer is simply yes. I think that works for literally everything. So inside of here we've got some stored up XP, and you saw the XP right there when I took the cactus green out. This next question is about the trident and the curse of vanishing. I think this person thought that because it leaves your inventory it might vanish. So if you use a trident with this enchantment, you'll see it lands on the ground and you're able to pick it back up. This enchantment, or should I say curse, applies to when the player dies. So I'm going to go ahead and just kill myself here, and you can see the trident is no longer in my inventory. And then when we respawn, it's nowhere to be found because of the curse of vanishing. And that, my friends, is all that I've got time for today with this episode. So if you've enjoyed it, then leave a like. As always, thanks for your support doing that. And remember, hashtag mythbusting, and then your question in the comments down below. I'll be able to use the hashtag to search through and find them, and I look forward to answering them in the future. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you soon with another one. Bye-bye. So the big problem here is the change means